Hi, I have an idea for you. I hope you think it's valuable and see if it fits. Okay, you're right about everything until you reach a point when you're not. Okay? You're right until you're wrong. Does that make sense to you? Can you see that in yourself? Because I believe it's an idea that we've lost sight of. And it's owing to, because we lost sight of this idea, it's caused a lot of problems in our interrelations, our interpersonal relations with each other. It's caused problems in the discourse in our society, in our culture, and of course in the discourse of our politics. We've completely lost sight of the idea that you're right until you're wrong. And so I'm asking you to first consider it in yourself. And if that makes sense, I'm also saying that it's true of everybody. Okay? Unless I got that wrong. So it's not fair for me to offer this as a principal understanding of human nature and thought processes, unless I'm willing to consider it, of course, in myself. And so far, this makes a lot of sense to me. I've operated this way a long time. I work as a psychotherapist and a business consultant, doing a lot of mediation and just dispute mediation and conflict resolution. Okay, and it's impossible to do that kind of work unless I consider myself first what it is that I may have wrong, what I don't understand about something. Okay, that's not to throw away what I do understand, but what I do understand doesn't mean anything unless I could also understand where I might be wrong. So in politics, there's this old saying, a cliche saying, that politics is the art of compromise. And when I first, was aware of that, it never quite fit for me that was a good definition of politics. Politics has a lot of definitions, but that one in particular, I thought laid pretty flat and not very helpful or useful. When you think of compromise, is basically you have your ideas that are valuable to you, and you're willing to give up some of those ideas so that you can get some of the ones that you have, and the other side does the same thing. And it sounds like that can work out at times in a good resolution, but in its worst form, what would happen is, what if you give on ideas that are really good for ideas that are really bad, and the other side as well? It doesn't put you in a good situation. And so what you want to do is you want to harvest all the good ideas that exist. You want to mine from each other, what is valuable, what is agreeable, and you even want to test it. You want to see if it works. You could come up with a policy decision, and then maybe it works out, but maybe there's unintended consequences as well. So let's just say I had the opportunity to talk to Bernie Sanders, and everyone knows his politics. He identifies himself as a social democrat. Some people might think he's a full-on Marxist. Whatever moniker you see him with, let's say Bernie comes on the scene, and I have a chance to have a conversation with him, serious conversation about his ideas and about how we might implement ideas that are good ideas. And I may start off with this question: Bernie, I'm sure you think that you're right about a lot of things. Is there any point at which you're right and then you're not right about something? And I have a preconceived notion as what Bernie and anybody, but what Bernie should say, how he should respond to that. I would expect him to say, sure, I think I'm right about a lot of things, and I'm sure there's things that I'm not right about, and I'd be interested in them. If he didn't do that, if he didn't say, I'm right until I'm wrong, if he couldn't admit that, if he couldn't see that, if he didn't understand that that's basically how it would be for anybody, then, I would offer that we wouldn't have a prospect of going from to make any kind of resolution if he couldn't acknowledge that. If anybody couldn't acknowledge that they're right until they're wrong, then the discourse is basically over. And this is what's happened in our politics. Basically, instead of coming up with where the sweet spot is, I like that term sweet spot, the sweet spot of, what is right. We can debate about what right means, but whatever, however we come to a basic understanding for the time, for the moment, to consider public policy. I wouldn't know how to proceed unless everybody had an understanding that there is a sweet spot somehow, and that we ought to mine from each other our best ideas. And so, that could be the starting point of a good organic resolution that's missing right now. Because right now what we have is the politics of personal destruction, the politics of I win everything, you lose everything, or it's where can you possibly go with that? Does anybody claim a monopoly on all of the good ideas that there are? And as I'm posing this question, it should be obvious that even people who have really different ideas about how to do things, if you approach it from an interest that, well, what is it of their idea that, from their perspective, has great value that, actually overlaps with what I think too? And at what point, where is the breaking point? And the breaking point is, for everybody, is what it is that they're right about until they're wrong, if they're willing to admit it, or if they're willing to look at it. And, we've honestly drifted away. I mean, we've run away from that idea. So that makes it, impossible to work with each other in anything different than just destroying that the other person even exists, or that their ideas should even exist. And I think what I'm expressing here, you should see what's at stake if we can't reach a point. Well, if we can't have the starting point of, are you right until you're wrong? Very simple idea. If it's something that makes sense to you, and you could see it in yourself, and you would extrapolate beyond that it would be true of everybody. And if everybody can start off with that starting point, we have firm ideas, we have ideas that we believe in, we have ideas that we know that we're right. And when I say no, that's the level of our conviction. But we also know and understand that we're right until we reach a point when we're not right. So let that sink in. I'd like to hear from you. And as I always say to you, the best to you in all good things.